Hey. Yeah, so I was a rancher before, and I stopped doing ranching for a little bit. Did produce. There was a server reset, like an actual, not reset, I'm sorry, there's a server wipe, and whenever I came back, I never left. Whenever the server came back up, I just continued with the produce because that's what I love. That looks like a predator of some sort over there. Oh, it's not. It's a buck. Okay, never mind. There's a grizzly bear that lives over there somewhere. I think I'm good as long as I stay right here. Need to get a drink. But a little bit about Miss Daisy. Let me put on some music that's a little more fitting. It means I have a I can use. It means I have a purpose. Cozy country instrumental. We'll try this. Lupine Meadow Ranch. You like it? Thank you. I tried to come up with something that was fitting for the area. Oh, he wants to go. He wants to go swimming. All right, we're prime predator hour here, so I gotta be on high alert. A little bit about my character, Miss Daisy. She arrived to county and had no idea what she was doing. She ended up bumping into a gentleman crossing a stream called Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett and her decided to work together on the ranch. They became close friends, maybe even a little flirty friends at times, but they never became a couple. So she, actually before she arrived to county, she lived, with her mom and her dad on the ranch. She had a ranch back home as well. So ranching is kind of what she's known. She wasn't quite sure if she wanted to go back to ranching or not, but she had to have some new clothes, and she thought, you know what? I'm spending time with Mr. Bennett. He owns a ranch. He's offered to hire me on. And so she started doing that. Then Mr. Bennett got the opportunity to join a posse. She wasn't too thrilled about that. She wasn't gonna join the posse at first, and then she ended up joining because they lived together on the ranch, so it would have been awkward for him to be part of a posse or the posse leader and her not be in it. So she went ahead and joined. Things were okay for a little bit, and then there was a lot of disagreements, and they ended up arguing quite a bit, which was unfortunate because, it was kind of one of the people that she was very first introduced to. They were still friends, but they were not getting along at all, and eventually things got pretty heated between the two of them. They ended up splitting, not really breaking up because they weren't together, but kind of separating. She left the ranch. She ended up starting her own thing and becoming a produce stand owner. She used to grow a lot of produce on the ranch for the animals. So she was comfortable making her own produce stand, and she moved to the town of Strawberry. We're just outside of the town of Strawberry, and she ended up building her a house, kind of hidden. She didn't tell Mr. Bennett where her house was, because she felt like it was probably best to just separate from him entirely at that point in time. And of course he wasn't very happy with that, so... as time went on, she ended up meeting a gunsmith, and the gunsmith's friend, who ended up building a house right next to her produce stand. Right in Strawberry. And he was... oh, was that the train? That is the train. Cows, you hear that? That's the train! You're not getting turned into smash burgers yet. Sorry. That was a bad joke, anyway. Yeah, Beach's Hope. That's where she was. Oh, it's a blackberry, ain't gonna do nothing. Stop it, Spence. Spence is turning all sorts of ways, getting me off the path here. Alright, Spence. You're a grown horse, you can do this. But yeah, she used to live at Beach's Hope. Really great house, by the way. We have the MLO that has the string lights. I had begged the server owner to kind of see about adding some string lights, because we had visitors all the time at the ranch. And so it just seemed like the right thing to do to make a little sitting area. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So she ended up meeting this gunsmith. She walked in to a shop and she said, I have this weapon I would like you to customize if you can. It was his first day. He didn't know what he was doing, but he was happy to meet her, and from that point forward, she knew that they were going to be... God, hold on. She knew that they were going to be close in some form or fashion. She wasn't quite sure, but they started spending time together, and she would be doing her work, and Mr. JD, the gunsmith, would visit his friend who was on the hill quite a bit, so they ended up spending more time together and getting to know each other a little bit more. And Miss Daisy would write notes to him and, you know, just kind of leave them for him to read. She told him, you know, why don't you write me a note? Well, he ended up writing her a note, but he took 3 days to write this note, and so she knew it was important in some form or fashion, and he was just going to hand it to her, but she said, no, why don't you take me somewhere and read it to me? So he took her to this most beautiful waterfall somewhere kind of over in that region, and he read it, and it was a beautiful love note. Didn't necessarily say that they were gonna be together. It was more so just like a, Miss Daisy, you're a really great person, and whoever you give your heart to, I hope, is worthy of keeping that fire alive. And I thought that was really sweet. So her and JD dated for a little bit. JD went on a hunting trip and he never returned. So she had hope that maybe he might be out there somewhere still, but he never did return. And actually, fun fact, he was still around, but he was playing other games. He wasn't playing Bredim anymore at the time. So for the story's sake, he went on a hunting trip. He was out there in the wilderness somewhere, and Daisy had searched for him. Can you guys cross this? Okay. Can we all cross this? I think we can. Don't fall off the cliff. No, where you go? No, oh my god, they're doing it. Don't do it. Y'all are... What are they doing? They almost... Oh my god, they got so close to the edge. They have me sweating over here, sweating bullets. Don't do that to me. Okay, anyway, back to the story. Jeez Louise. That was terrifying. Sorry. I got mega distracted with that. Yeah, they did. They lived close to the edge. Oh, look at him. So cute. Alright. So... Daisy looked for him. She went all around. She knew that he was an avid hunter, so she checked, you know, typical hunting spots. The plains, even the swamps, up in the snow. And she left notes, you know, saying like, darling, I've been here. I've been looking for you. If you were, you know, still alive, or if you're lost, send a pigeon and I'll come save you, essentially, or I'll come to you. He never responded, and eventually Daisy was forced to kind of move on. She always kept that note that JD had wrote her, and she has, even to this day, she has a weapon from JD. It's called JD's Last. It is a elephant rifle. Speaking of, I got an elephant rifle, and it looks similar to the one that I have on my back. But she keeps it put up in the bank. And as time went on, she continued to work at her produce stand. She was meeting new people. She also found a love of dabbling in crime. She wasn't necessarily really big into crime, but she was friends with people who were in crime, and she found out that by giving up information to the criminals, she could get paid. But also, if she were to talk to the law, she could also get paid. So she ends up kind of playing the fence between law and criminal, in like a double agent, if you will. Which obviously didn't last very long. She ended up meeting this lawman. He was new to county, new to law, and she was showing him around saying, you know, like, I know a few things. Daisy always has this saying, she's like, I know things, not a lot, but not everything, but some things. And so her and the sheriff, Mr. Hoffman, started to talk. He would check on her, you know. He would do the rounds around county, and he'd stop and he'd, you know, maybe hang out a little bit longer than what he should. So there was like mostly business, but a dash of pleasure in there. And Daisy picked up on that, and so they started hanging out, spending time together, going on adventures and exploring, trying to find these locations in which criminals were using, like the moonshine, or the alcohol distillery, the weed drying spots, weed growing spots, you know, things of that nature. Daisy knew things, but she wasn't giving it all up to the sheriff. She was kind of like feeding little bits of information to him. And also letting her criminal friends know, like, hey, laws